You know how some stories are so scary they sound like they're straight out of a horror movie? Well, this is the story that actually inspired them. Today, we're going to unravel the true, documented case of the Annabelle doll. It's a story that starts with something as simple as a gift and ends in absolute terror.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? How on earth does a child's toy, something meant for comfort, become this infamous icon of fear? That's the journey we're about to go on, digging into the real-life events that turned a simple doll into a channel for something truly evil.
All right, so let's set the scene. The year is 1970. A nursing student named Donna gets a birthday present from her mom. It's this big, antique Raggedy Ann doll. She and her roommate, Angie, thought it was kind of cute, a nice decoration for their apartment, so they put it on Donna's bed. They had absolutely no idea what they had just welcomed into their home.
What's so creepy is how slowly it all started. This wasn't some immediate, in-your-face haunting. At first, it was just subtle. Within days, they'd noticed the doll was in a slightly different position. But over the next few weeks, the activity started to ramp up, becoming way more obvious and impossible to just brush off.
So things didn't stay subtle for long. Pretty soon, the doll's activity escalated from just weird movements to something far more direct, and frankly, way more unsettling. It wasn't just changing its position anymore, it felt like it was trying to communicate, and not in a friendly way.
At first, it was things you could almost try to explain away. They'd come home and find the doll with its arms folded differently or its legs crossed. But then it got stranger. They started finding it standing on its own feet, which, for a limp rag doll, is pretty much impossible. The real turning point, though, was when Donna would leave it on the living room couch and come home to find it back in her bedroom with the door closed.
And then, the notes started appearing. About a month into this whole thing, they began finding these little scraps of parchment paper with messages scrawled on them in what looked like a child's handwriting. They said things like, "Help us," and "Help Lou." Now, the creepiest part of all this, Donna and Angie didn't own any parchment paper. It was just appearing out of nowhere.
This was the final straw. One night, Donna got home, found the doll on her bed, which was normal by then, but this time there was this red, liquidy substance on the back of its hands and on its chest. It looked exactly like blood. Completely terrified, they knew this was something they couldn't handle. They had to get help. So they brought in a medium who held a seance right there in the apartment. The medium told them this story about the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, who had supposedly died on that property years ago. The spirit said it felt safe with them and just wanted to stay. So Donna, feeling sorry for this little girl, actually gave the spirit permission to inhabit the doll. As they would soon find out, this was a terrible, terrible mistake. By giving that permission, Donna basically threw open a door, and what walked through was not the spirit of a little girl. Their friend, a guy named Lou, had been saying from the very beginning that the doll was evil, and he was about to become the direct target of its violence.
What happened to Lou is just horrifying. First, he has this recurring nightmare where he wakes up totally paralyzed and he sees the Annabelle doll creeping up his leg, crawling onto his chest, and then its hands are around his neck, strangling him until he blacks out. Then one day, he and Angie are in the apartment alone, and he hears a noise in Donna's room. He goes to check it out, and bam, he's thrown backward, clutching his chest with these deep, bloody scratches all over him.
And this wasn't just a scratch. There was clear physical evidence. 7 distinct claw marks. 3 were vertical, 4 were horizontal, and he said they felt hot, like they were burns. But here's the craziest part. These deep wounds healed at an impossible rate. They were half gone the next day and had completely vanished in 2 days. This was no ghost of a little girl.
Okay, so after their friend is physically attacked, Donna realizes this is way beyond their control. They reach out to an Episcopal priest who then puts them in touch with the now legendary paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens show up, take one look around, and immediately know what's really going on.
And the Warrens made a really crucial distinction here. They said the doll itself was not possessed. Spirits, they explained, don't possess things, they possess people. What was happening was that an inhuman, demonic spirit was manipulating the doll. It was using it like a puppet to get their attention, to create fear. The doll wasn't the prize. The real target was a human soul.
Ed Warren laid it all out for them. He explained that this was a classic demonic case, and it follows 3 stages. First, infestation. That's the weird movements and the notes, designed to get you curious and afraid. Second, oppression. That's the physical attack on Lou, meant to break down their will. They were right on the verge of the third and final stage, possession. The Warrens warned them, if this had gone on for just another 2 or 3 weeks, it probably would have ended with someone dead.
So, the Warrens knew they had to act fast. They had a priest come in and perform a full 7-page Episcopal exorcism blessing to cleanse the apartment. And Donna, for the safety of everyone, begged the Warrens to please just take the doll with them when they left.
But here's the thing. Taking the doll out of the apartment didn't take the evil out of the doll. Its dark journey was far from over, and its power would make itself known to anyone foolish enough to challenge it.
The drive home with this doll was absolutely terrifying. Ed had a bad feeling, so he deliberately stayed off the main highway. And sure enough, on the back roads, the car's engine kept cutting out, and the power steering and brakes would fail every time they hit a sharp curve. Finally, Ed, feeling this intense hatred coming from the doll in the back seat, just grabbed holy water from his bag, threw it on the doll, and instantly, everything in the car went back to normal.
Even at the Warrens' home, the doll kept moving around. One day, a visiting Catholic exorcist saw it sitting in a chair. He picked it up, scoffed, and said, "You're just a rag doll Annabelle, you can't hurt anyone," and tossed it back down. Ed immediately warned him, "Father, that's one thing you better not say."
Just a few hours later, Lorraine's phone rings. It's the priest. His brakes had completely failed at a busy intersection. He was in a horrific, near-fatal car crash that totally destroyed his vehicle. He survived, but the message was sent, loud and clear.
Eventually, the Warrens built a specially blessed sealed glass case for the doll in their occult museum. But even then, people didn't learn. One day, a young guy on a motorcycle trip with his girlfriend came through. After hearing the whole story, he walks right up to the case, starts banging on the glass, and taunts the doll, daring it to scratch him like it did Lou.
Ed Warren, furious, threw the young man out of the museum. On the ride home, according to his girlfriend who survived, they were literally laughing about the doll when he suddenly lost control of his bike and slammed head-on into a tree. He was killed instantly.
And that's where Annabelle remains, to this day, locked away in that glass box, a silent warning to everyone who sees it. They say it doesn't move anymore, but the malevolent energy attached to it is believed to be just as powerful as it ever was.
And all of this brings us to the final sobering takeaway from Ed Warren himself. The story of Annabelle is more than just a ghost story. It's a chilling reminder that there are forces in this world that you do not provoke, you do not taunt, and you do not underestimate. It's a warning that still resonates all these decades later.